Today the title of the session is Being Comfortable with the Uncomfortable. So we're going to try to help you be more comfortable putting yourself out there. And I think the best person to talk about this and to start this session is actually Valentine.
Hello. All right. So I'm diving off the coastline of Florida, and I'm holding this little fish that I just caught. And I'm already thinking about how am I going to eat that for dinner when all of a sudden an 8-foot tiger shark appears right in front of me. And I can tell that he's not really happy. I can tell that he's actually having towards me the same thought I was having about the fish a moment ago. And I was paralyzed by fear. At that moment, I had in my head this little voice that was telling me, what the hell are you doing here? But my next thought was, hey, this is the food chain. The little fish just learned that he was not on the top, and here I am learning the exact same thing. So what do you think you would do if you would be facing that situation? Who thinks here that they would panic completely? Who think that they would remain completely calm? Who think that they would push their dive buddy in front of them to try to see if they can eat them instead? That's actually what I thought I would do. And there's actually a very big difference between the person you actually are and the person you think you are and the person you actually are. So my name is Valentine Thomas. I'm 31 years old, and 2 years ago I quit everything I had in my life, and I sold most of my things to travel the world and becoming a professional spearfishing woman. Yes, you did hear well. I travel the world to catch my own food while freediving. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? That I'm courageous, maybe? That I'm crazy? That's why my boyfriend called me way worse, so you can call me crazy. Well, actually, when I tell that story, most people think that I must be super courageous to do that. They think, especially when I talk about the shark story. And the truth is, I'm actually a big, big wuss. But that didn't stop me from pursuing anything in life. But the journey to learn about that was definitely not easy and definitely not comfortable. So that was definitely not comfortable. When you hear the story about the shark and everything, you wouldn't think that 10 years ago I was actually very, very far away from the ocean. I'm from Montreal, Quebec, and I've never been really big on the water. I did some pedal boat when I was younger, but I don't think that actually really counts. I'm actually, to this day, still scared of swimming in my lake because it's dark and it's scary and there might be a monster hiding down there, probably. And also, when I was 14 years old, I went to swim in the southwest of France and I got caught in an undertow. I passed out in the water, a lifeguard came to save me, I was helicoptered to the hospital. It was a horrible day. And after that, for years, when the water was not deeper than my thigh, the little voice in my head was telling me, please stay in your towel and tan. And I gladly obliged for 10 years. So basically, a lot of events of my life pushed me in a completely different directions into the ocean. But the biggest thing that kept me from pursuing a lot of things was my own mind. I was strangled by fear and by a lack of confidence. Even though I grew up into becoming a real-life Tintin, I was a very anxious kid. When I mean very, I mean full-on wimpy, scared of my own shadow, couldn't be alone at home until I was 12. Also, following ruthless years of bullying when I was in high school, my anxiety, already predominant, just went through the roof. I started having severe panic attacks that would make me not even be able to leave my own house. I decided to take no medication. I just wanted to work on my mental strength by myself. So I began to live 1 meter at a time. I was exiting my house and I was going further 1 meter every single day until the uncomfortable became comfortable. After that, I just kept putting myself in situations where I knew I was freaking out mentally, but where I had to keep my calm. And that became a goal in life after that. I just kept doing it for years. And before I explain how this relates to spearfishing, I'm going to start from the beginning. So I've always been a really career-orientated person. I was dreaming of becoming the biggest criminal lawyer in Canada, to have a big house, to have a fancy car. And my motivation came from a feeling of weakness, basically. I wanted to show the world that I wasn't a victim. I wanted to show everybody that I was a winner. My mom is a corporate lawyer, so I followed that path. I did my law degree, then I did my master in law. And I thought this was my only way to succeed. And I was following the big American dream that everybody wants. Yes, I want to marry George Clooney. I'm really good at Photoshop, as you can tell. But here, life is always here to remind you that no matter what plans you make, it often shatters them in a million pieces, and that's often a good thing. So after my master, I couldn't get myself to start working. I was feeling that something was wrong. I was sitting at my desk as an intern, and I was realizing that there's no way I could do that for the next 10 years of my life. But what to do? What to do when you're a little French Canadian that never lived abroad, that is scared of your own shadow or the pidgin English? I grabbed my passport, I moved to London where I worked in finance for about 6 years. And then I then learned a crucial lesson that it's not always what you decide to do in life that has the biggest impact. So I met this guy that introduced me to this weird new sport that I've never heard about, and that was spearfishing. So when he explained to me what it was, I was imagining something like this. So he dragged me to a freediving class in Egypt where I went kicking and screaming, definitely not wanted to go. And I was even worse when he took me spearfishing for the first time. But surprisingly, even if I was very, very scared, I felt completely in love with the lifestyle. So it's a new lifestyle that all of a sudden I borrowed Ibiza and the French Riviera for camping in Africa, catching... Oops.
Pictures. Camping in Africa.
I'm camping in Africa, catching my own food in the most basic conditions. And I discovered a world that I never thought was accessible to me. And I now eat the best food I ever had in my life. I'm now pushing my body to a new limit that I didn't even know existed. I now free dive to 50 meters, which is 180 feet. I meet and help people that are less fortunate by giving my food and sharing my fish that I catch with a lot of communities around the world. And I live an extremely sustainable and eco-friendly lifestyle. So 3 years ago, when I left my job, I just decided that I needed to take a step back from modern life. And in order to appreciate the world and understand where my place was, I needed to learn the basics and to learn about myself. I also learned that I couldn't become a better person by staying in my comfort zone. And actually, by putting myself in the least comfortable position, I discovered who I really was. And I discovered that despite all the signs of since I was a child, I'm actually not a big wuss. So here I am, off the coast of Florida, holding a little fish, facing an 8-foot target shark that really wants to eat me. Seems crazy, but I just kept poking the shark with my spear gun. And I showed him that I had confidence, even though I was freaking the hell out. I was trying to remain calm, and if the shark wanted to eat me, he could have done it at any second at that point. But he was hesitating for some reason. And normally, when you see fish in the ocean, the shark, they all swim away, and they're all scared. But I was here staring back at him and keep poking it. And guess what? At some point, the shark turned around and swam away. So in my unusual quest to happiness, I faced a lot of sharks, literally and figuratively. And being freaked out is definitely a normal part of the process. But the way you're going to act is going to have a way bigger impact after that. And the beauty of the ocean is that black, white, rich, doesn't matter who your daddy is, the shark is gonna go for the one that acts the weakest. So just keep your heads up. Tell the little voice to shut up once in a while because you are all way, way, way stronger than you think you are. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Valentine. So, Valentine's story is interesting for us because she's putting herself out there. It's also a story of resilience. And I always remember, I don't know if you know J.K. Rowling, the writer of Harry Potter. She sent her pitch, her story, to 12 editors before somebody agreed to actually publish her. And in the feedback she got the absolute worst response ever. Some people told her that she shouldn't write ever again. Some people were even not polite. But she was persistent, like Valentine, but she also worked on her pitch. So iteration after iteration, she was slightly changing the way she was explaining her work product and her story until she finally made it. And so today we're going to work on the pitch. So that's going to be our first exercise. So you've all heard about the elevator pitch. I'm sure by now you know the basic rules. I'll still go through them very quickly. And after that, we would like you to start talking to at least two or three.
For the pitch, I don't know. What do you want?
Okay, let's say two. Two people you don't know in the room, and try your pitch on that person. Okay. So the rules, it needs to be short and simple. And by simple, I mean do not use words that you wouldn't use generally. There's nothing worse than starting a pitch, very confident of yourself because you rehearsed it, and then at the first question, the level of language that you use is changing, and you're creating a sense of weirdness. It should be different. Why is your company different if you're starting a company? Why is your work important? What is your difference? Collaborative. You don't have to say everything in the pitch. Actually, it's good if you don't say everything and you're expecting questions. Don't answer the questions right away, wait for them to come. Enthusiastic, try to not use negative words. Avoid what's. And even if you hate your job and you're sick of it, there is a way to start it differently. For instance, instead of saying, oh, I work in marketing and I hate it, which is not very appealing, I think we'll all agree, okay? You could turn this into something completely different. You can say, oh, I work in marketing. I'm actually passionate about photography. Did you went to see whatever artist you like, presentation or exposition last week? And then you can start a conversation. So, unless anybody has any question, are you ready? Okay, you have 10 minutes.